Okay, so the next step for our game is to build a health slider, something that's going to update and let our player take damage. Right now, every time we run into an enemy in the game, we just automatically die and we have to reset the game. But we want to set it up so that if we run into maybe a certain type of enemy, then it just takes away value on our health slider. And that way we can survive a couple of hits on the level without, dying immediately. So let's look into how we do that. First, we need to create the physical slider, and then we need to go into our code and connect it with our player. And we'll do that in our player script. So let's build our slider first. We're going to go to Game Object, UI, Slider. And you'll see this little slider shows up on the stage here. We're going to park it up here in the top left underneath our score. And I'm going to go to my rectangular transform tool and lock it to the top left. So no matter what the size of my screen is, it'll always be there. And what else do I want to do? Well, I want to add an icon of a heart here to this slider. Let's take a look. In the slider itself, we've got a background, which is the color behind the slider itself. We've got the fill area, which is the color that's going to be sliding. And then we've got this handle, this circular handle on the far end, which I don't really care for, and I'm going to get rid of that. So I'm just going to delete my handle slide area just so it's the bar and nothing else, because I'm going to add my little icon here. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to go to Game Object, UI, Image, and I get this just square, and I want to size that a little bit smaller than this, maybe something like that. And I'm going to park it here at the end. Again, I'm going to lock it to the top left in my canvas, and I want to give that an icon. I want to give that some image. So I'm going to go to my project folder and search in my game sprites and grab this heart here. So here's my image, and I'm going to drag my source image, this little heart, in as the sprite. So you can see that fills the image. So now I have my little icon there, so the user knows exactly what this is. This is something to do with my life and my health. Before I even run into an enemy, I've got some clue as to what that is. So I'm going to go back into my slider here. My background, I want that to be black. So I'm going to change the background color to black here with this little box. And then the fill, inside the fill area, I'm going to make that red to match my heart. And if I go to my slider here and you look at this in the inspector, you'll see that I can increase the size of that. See how it fills it slides up and down, right? So I want that all the way on the end when I start. And you'll notice here that it doesn't quite fill up the whole thing. So I'm going to go to my fill here, and I'm actually going to drag that out a little bit more so it fills the entire bar. Otherwise, that's going to bother me. Okay, cool. Well, right now it's not going to do anything, but it looks all right. It looks like a health slider, and you can make other changes to it if you want to make it, more rectangular, or you want to make it thicker, whatever you want to do. You can go in the inspector and make changes on it. I'm going to leave it as is for right now. Still not going to do anything until I put some code in action here. So let's go ahead and jump into that aspect of this. Let's go into my assets and my scripts and my player script, and let's open up my player script here in Mono Develop. And the first thing we need to do is, since we're going to be now using a UI element, is we need to use the Unity Engine UI element library so that it recognizes these commands we're going to be using. So I'm going to say using Unity Engine UI. So that'll be the first thing. And then we're going to go into our list of variables, and we have some variables that we want to use here. First, we want to have a private slider, capital S, and we're going to call that health bar. want a public float called health. And that's going to be the value that we're going to give to our health bar in number. And a private float called health burn. And this is going to be how much value we want to take away from the health bar each time we get hit. Let's just do 5 here initially, so it only takes us a few hits. You could always modify this and this so that however many hits you want it to take, how much damage you want it to do each time you get hit. I just want to show it really easily what's happening when we do it, but you can change these numbers obviously. All right, so we got our health bar, we got our health, and we got our health burn. Now we need to set the initial values of all these things when the game starts. So we go into my void start, and we got first the health bar, and Unity doesn't know what the health bar is. It just knows there's a slider, but it doesn't know we're trying to reference it with this variable. So we need to associate it with the correct game object. So we're going to do game object dot find. We want it to find the slider at the very beginning. And what do we want to find? We want to find the health slider. And this is very important. This is kind of case sensitive here. This health slider name has to match the name of our slider. So before we do anything else, let's just go back in here and let's change the name of this slider. I'm just selecting it, clicking it once, pausing, and then clicking again so I can change its name. And health slider, just like I wrote in my code, so that they match exactly. This is case sensitive. So I got my health slider dot get component. And what is the component? It is a slider. Just like that. So now when Unity sees this health bar, it knows that it's supposed to find this health slider and access the slider component, which is great because that's what we're going to use to visually move that slider back and forth using our code. Now we also have to set some max values and some min values for our health bar. So let's do that. Health bar dot min value equals 0f, and health bar dot max value equals health. And then at the very beginning, we want the health bar dot value to be equal to the max value, the health bar max value. That will set it, in this case, 10. And I spelt health wrong here. Why Unity is giving me agita. Okay, so we got our variables set up here, and then we are declaring what we want in terms of the health bar and what we want it to read at the beginning of the game. We want it to be set to the max value, which in this case is going to be 10F. Again, if you change it here, there's no need to change anything down here. It's all automatically going to be responding because we're using the variables here. And so all we need to do is change the number here. Okay, now we need to set up a function in our game that we can access when we run into something that we want to deal damage to us as a player. So let's go down to where we've created our functions, and we've got this I'm dead function. Let's add our update health function right above that. So this is going to be void update health. Remember, this is the function that we're going to run every time we bump into something that we want the slider to respond to. So what's the health slider going to be contingent upon? What's its movement going to be contingent upon? Well, we know it's going to be contingent upon a collision with an enemy, but we'll get to that. What do we want to have happen when that collision occurs and we're actually running this function? Well, first we need to check to see um, whether our health, if there's health still remaining, right? So if I still have health, so if health is greater than 0, what do I want to do? So I've got my curly braces for what to have happen if health is greater than 0. Well, if I have health and I'm running update health, then I want to take some of that health away, right? Because I'm assuming if I'm running this function, I've run into an enemy that I want to deal some damage to me. So essentially what I want to do here is I want to take whatever the value of health is. I want to take health and subtract health burn. If you remember, in this case is a 5F. So should bring our health down to 5 there. And that's going to change our health variable, but it's not going to do anything to our slider. So we also need to make sure that our health bar is now reflecting, its value is reflecting the new value of health. So it's not going to be the max value anymore. It's just going to be whatever the current value of health is now that we've taken away whatever health burn is. Okay. That will definitely start dealing some damage, but it's not going to respond if health gets down to 0 or it's below 0. It's just going to, basically keep us alive. We want to die if we get down to health is great or less than or equal to 0. So I'm going to put another conditional here. If health is less than or equal to 0, what do I want to have happen? Well, I've already got a function that kills my character, and it's called I'm dead, right? So why don't I just take that and put it right here so that if I do get my health down to less than or equal to 0, we'll automatically run the I'm dead function. Is alive will be false, so my player will stop moving. My dead animation will trigger, and the reset button will show up. Okay, great. That should work. We got our update health function here, but we're not calling it anywhere right now. Nothing's actually going to change if I play my game because somewhere we have to access this update health function. We got to call it. And if you look down here in our collisions, this is the collision here event that is looking for enemies that are tagged deadly and then running the I'm dead function. We want to have something similar happen here, but just update health. So I'm going to copy that and paste it. And rather than having a enemy tag deadly, I'm going to have an enemy tag damage. And rather than running the I'm dead function, I'm going to run the update health. Okay, just like that. All right, am I done? Almost, but I still need to run. I still need to have an enemy that's actually tagged damage in order for this to work when I run into it. Right now, all of my enemies are tagged deadly. So I'm going to save this. And I'm going to jump back out to Unity. And let's see. Maybe we'll use these guys. My enemy jumpers. Right now, my enemy jumper, you can see, is tagged deadly. Now, I took the liberty of creating a new tag called damage, but if you hadn't done that, you could just go to add tag and then plus and then type in damage and save and off you go, right? I've already done that. So I'm just going to click on my player, my enemy jumper, and I'm going to change this from deadly to damage, and I'm going to apply that to the prefab. So now both enemy jumpers should have that damage tag, and yes, they do. So either of these guys, if I run into them, my health slider should respond. Let's check it out. Hit play, and we move ever so cautiously. Maybe I'll let him land on my head. And there you go. You see my health slider just went down to half because my health burn was 5. And boom, I hit him again, and I'm down to 0 or less than 0. In this case, I'm at 0. So he kills me. So that's perfect. It's working. One more hit, and I die. Okay. So the slider's moving. The player's dying the way he's supposed to, and it looks like my health slider is in good operating shape. For a personal challenge, maybe you try to add a timer to your level. See if you can have a slider that responds to time, and you only have a certain amount of time to finish the level. And that could be another way of using a slider in your game. Okay, have fun.